Hello developers, welcome back to the channel, and I'm the Coding Hub, and today we're going to be mastering CSS in about 10 minutes. That's right, by the end of this video you'll understand how to style websites and make them look absolutely amazing. So let's get into it, but before we get started, if you do enjoy this content, then I'd love it if you can like and subscribe. It will really help me out. Let's get started. So CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and it's what makes websites beautiful. We'll cover selectors, property layouts, and maybe even some cool animations, but we'll see if we've got time. So let's jump right in. So what I have in front of you is a HTML page that you can see with a bit of HTML elements in here. So we've got a H1, we've got a nav with a div and unsorted list, we have a button, we have a div hero section, and we have a card class. And what I've done is I've created an import to our linked list, to our CSS, and we have a CSS file here called test, but it's completely empty, and we're going to start filling this in with the video. And if we head over to Chrome, you'll be able to see that I've got the developer tools open down here, which we will play around with, and I also have our page here that you can see how it's currently looking and how it will change as we get on. Cool. So what is CSS? So think of HTML as the skeleton of your website. It provides structure. CSS is like the clothing, makeup, and interior design. It makes everything look good. And there are three ways to add CSS to your HTML. Inline CSS, which is directly in your code here. So you can style it by just doing style equals and then start putting in your CSS in here. But that is very bad practice. You can have internal CSS by creating a style element in your head, and you can actually put some CSS in here. But again, that is bad practice, so you probably shouldn't do that. And the most common one, which is the best practice, is the external CSS, which is what we're doing here. And this is how you get some external CSS into your HTML file. Cool. Now let's talk about selectors. So these tell CSS which HTML elements to style. So let's have a look at this H1 to start off with. So if we wanted to specifically do styling for the H1, you would literally just type in H1. But that will take all H1 elements on your page, so do be careful with that. So in our case, we only have one H1, but if we had multiple, it would style all of them. And if we refresh, you'll see that we style that H1 in the color blue with the color property inside CSS. Now, if we wanted to target a class, so in this case, let's change this button to class for now. So if we wanted to target a class of my button, what you would do is you would use the full stop and then type in the name of your class. And here I might just take in what this AI is suggesting to me. So what it is, it's done the background color of the button green, it's done the color of the text white, it's added some padding, some border, and a border radius. Border radius makes the corners a little bit more circular. Padding, we're going to talk about in a minute, but for now, let's just refresh and see what that's done. And as you can see here, our button has changed. Now, if we wanted to target IDs, let's say this button has an ID, and let's say we refresh, we've gone back to the old style. If we wanted to target IDs, you would do it using a hash or a hashtag, whatever you prefer. And there you go, it's picked up our button again. So the cool thing about CSS is specificity. So ID beats classes and classes beats elements. So classes can be applied to multiple elements. So you can have a div or a button with the same class and multiple divs and buttons with the same class. But on one page, you ideally should have only one ID that is the same. So IDs should, in theory, be unique. However, HTML won't complain if they're not, but they should be. Okay. Let's start the real web page. So I'll show you some of the most important CSS properties that you'll probably use every day. So if we have a look at our body, for example, so we can apply styles to the entire body. And to do this, we target it in a similar way that we did the H1. So if we give me 1 second. There we go. So in our body, we've selected our body element and we've applied a consistent font family, a font size, and some line height. And that will apply to the entire page. Let's see what this does. And there we go. You can see how the font changed, how the spacing between them changed and everything. And let's actually change some other bits. So if you have a look at the H1, if we wanted to change, for example, the font weight, you can do this like this. So you can make it a bit more bold, for example, and you can actually align the text to the center, for example, if you want it centered. And there we go, that's taking the text to the center. Now, if we wanted to style our hero section, let's do some styling for our hero section. Let's have a look at hero section here, for example. So it's applied a light grey background, again some padding, it's aligned the text to the center. And let's have a look at what this looks like. And this is our hero section. It's made it like this. Now, let's have a look at our card. Now, this is where we're going to learn a little bit about padding and margin. So padding is any side and margin is anything outside of the element. So the reason, what we've done here is we've done a background color and we've added the border radius. Actually, I'm going to change this border to black. And so we've added the border that's black, and it will just be a lot easier to demonstrate what padding and margin does. So if I head over here and refresh, you can see our card section here. So now, if I added more padding, what this will do is it will make the space between the text and the border bigger. So if I made this, I don't know, 55 for example, you will see that our card has actually become a lot bigger and it's added padding all around the text that's inside the card. Now, if we wanted to add more spacing above, below, to the right, to the left of the element itself, then we'd have to increase margin. So if I increase the margin by 50, what you'll see is that it's added some spacing either side of this card element here. So I hope that makes sense. And these are everyday elements and properties that you're going to use. So things like border and margin, these are fundamental CSS layouts. So do play around with them. I highly recommend just going to any website, opening up your developer tools, and by going into developer tools on Chrome and just selecting an element and playing around with the CSS that it picks up and just seeing how it affects it. So for example here, I can just change this to 150 and you can see it updates it directly on my page straight away. Of course, these changes are not saved, so if I refresh, it takes it back to how it was. Now let's have a look at some Flexboxes and have a look at how we can style our nav bar. So we have our nav bar, and let's have a look at our code a little bit more detail. So what we've got is we have a nav with class navbar, we have a div that's a logo, and we have our links. I'm going to add some code in here for our navbar. There we go. We've added some code here for our navbar and our nav links. And what this does is, so we have display of flex, and we've justified the content with some space between them. We've aligned the items to the center. We've added some padding between them, and we've changed the background color. And for the nav links themselves, we've also display flexed them. We've list styled none, so we've got rid of the list styling, the bullet points, and we've added a little bit of gap between them. And if we refresh this, you'll see that this has created a very nice looking nav bar that is the beginnings of our top of our page. So we have our home, about, and contact, and it's nicely aligned them all. So Flexboxes are like magic. So justify content controls the horizontal alignment, the align items controls the vertical alignment, and the gap adds space between the items. So that's roughly how that all works. Now, the final thing that we're going to look at here is a little bit of responsive views. So your websites need to look good on all devices. That's where the media query comes in. So we're going to utilize the Chrome developer tools in here. So in here, you can actually click this button here, and this will give you a responsive view. And you can actually change what device you want to see. You can select a phone, you can select a tablet. But for the purposes of this, we'll actually just resize the view ourselves. And this gives us a width here of the device. And that's really how it works. It checks the width of your device depending on what CSS it should display. Now let's have a look at our card. This will probably be the easiest to do with our, actually no, let's do it with our hero section to demonstrate what I want to show you. So if we do at media, and let's get rid of this. So we've got the media tag here set with a max width here of 600. So basically this styling in here will only come into effect when the width is below 600. So anything above 600, it will apply this hero section code here. After that, it will apply any changes to our styling from here. So if I go in here and refresh, you will see that our hero section is still gray. But as I start changing the width down, you'll see, there we go, 600, then I changed it to green. And then above 600 is back to gray. So that's kind of how the media query works. And you can apply different styles to different screen sizes. And that's how you control how your website will look nice on things like a mobile device and a tablet. And that's pretty much it for this very quick CSS walkthrough. So if you enjoyed this video, then I'd love it if you can leave a like and subscribe. It will really help me out. And so for this video, we covered selectors, essential property, flexboxes, and responsive design. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then I would love to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.